let's look at our capital F and our capital T. So if we start with our capital T, we're going to start here at the top line. So one of the few letters that starts at the top. All of our lowercase letters are going to start at the bottom, but some of our uppercase letters are going to start at the top. We're going to start at the top. We're going to make a line down to the dotted line. It has to come all the way down to the dotted line, and then we're going to loop back this way, and then we're going to make a little line. We don't want it to be super long, touching the top line, and then we're going to slant. It's important that we slant down. We're going to make our bowl, and then we're going to pour the soup into the bowl, just like that. We don't want a straight line across. It's almost like we're pouring soup down into the bowl. So we're going to make our loop here at the beginning, little line, and we're going to slant down. This tip needs to come all the way up to the dotted line to make our bowl, and then we're going to pour the soup down into the bowl. So a couple things we want to avoid here. We don't want a teeny little loop. That loop needs to come all the way down and touch the dotted line. And we don't want it to be huge like this. It needs to be a skinny little line, a skinny little loop. And one other thing is we don't want to go backwards. We don't want to loop back like this. That's not ever how it should be made. It always needs to be made looping the right direction. We're going to loop this direction. Another thing is we don't want this to be a huge long line. That doesn't look neat when it's a huge long line, just a little line. We also don't want to come straight down. We really need to slant with this letter. We need to slant to the side. We're going to come up and touch the dotted line. Now this is really important that it comes all the way up to the dotted line and that we pour it back into the bowl. You pour the soup back into the bowl. One other thing is when you're making this dot here, or you're making this bowl here, the tip here needs to come outside of this loop. So in other words, we don't want it inside the loop like this, because this here we have the loop and then our tip is inside. We need it to be outside, just like these are. Almost like it's laying back, it's reclining. It's kind of relaxing on its back here. We want it laying to the side, slanted. Now, this is a tricky letter, but the great news is that the capital F is almost exactly like it. So our capital F, we're going to make that loop, looping the right direction, little line, a slant down, make our bowl, and then we're going to pour our soup into the bowl, but it's going to stop. It's not going to fall all the way into the bowl. It's just going to pour a little bit down, and then we're going to cross on the dotted line. So again, with that capital F, making our loop down to the dotted line, little line across the top, slanting down, making our bowl, pouring our soup a little bit, and then crossing on the dotted line. So it's really important we have that tip on the outside of this loop. This loop is the right size, and that we're looping the right direction, and that we're pouring the soup down into the bowl, because we don't want a straight line across. It needs to pour down into the bowl. And there's our capital F and T.